Welcome to a journey where you become your own greatest love story. In a world that often pulls us outward, toward approval, comparison, and perfection, this audiobook invites you inward, to the quiet, powerful place where self-love begins. It's not about arrogance or selfishness. It's about discovering that the most enduring relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Through these pages, you'll find tools, stories, and revelations to help you embrace who you are, flaws and all, and build a foundation of love so strong that no one else's opinion can shake it. Let's start this adventure together. You're worth it. Chapter 1. The Mirror of You. Reflecting on Self-Worth. Picture this. You're standing in front of a mirror. Not the bathroom one with the bad lighting, but a metaphorical one. The kind that shows you who you really are. What do you see? If you're like most of us, the reflection isn't always kind. Maybe you zoom in on the flaws, the not enoughs, the stuff you wish you could change. But what if that mirror could show you something else? What if it could reflect your worth? Not as a maybe, but as a fact. This chapter is about flipping the script on how you see yourself. It's not about cheesy affirmations or pretending everything's perfect. It's about digging into the real, messy, beautiful truth of your value and owning it. I've been down this road myself, and there's science to light the way. Plus, I've got some practical tricks to help you start seeing yourself clearer. Let's jump in. The distorted mirror and why we believe it. Ever notice how easy it is to believe the worst about yourself? One bad day, one harsh comment, and suddenly you're convinced you're a walking disaster. That's not just you being dramatic. It's your brain doing its thing. Psychologists call it the negativity bias. We're wired to focus more on what's wrong than what's right. Evolutionary speaking, it kept us alive. Spotting threats was a survival skill. But today, it's just a buzzkill. Here's where it gets personal. For years, my mirror showed me a version of myself I didn't like. Too shy, too scattered, not successful enough. It wasn't even true. It was a funhouse distortion built from old insecurities and random opinions. Studies back this up. Research from the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology shows that low self-worth often comes from internalized criticism, not reality. We're walking around with cracked mirrors, and it's time to trade them in. Let me tell you about the time I broke my own mirror, figuratively, at least. I was in my mid-20s, fresh off a string of rejections, job applications, a breakup, you name it. I remember sitting on my couch, staring at nothing, thinking, I'm not worth much, am I? But then something shifted. I grabbed a scrap of paper and wrote down one thing I knew was true. I'm still here. It wasn't profound, but it was enough. That tiny crack of light started me rethinking what I saw in myself. It wasn't instant. I didn't wake up the next day radiating self-love. But that moment planted a seed. My worth wasn't tied to what I'd lost or what others thought. It was mine, period. And if I can find that, so can you. Let's get nerdy for a sec. Your sense of self-worth isn't just a vibe. It's a brain thing. Research on self-esteem, like studies from the American Psychological Association, shows it's tied to how your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part, talks to your amygdala, the emotional alarm system. When you're stuck in self-doubt, that alarm's blaring, drowning out the rational, hey, you're okay voice. But here's the cool part. You can quiet it down. Take gratitude, for instance. A 2020 study in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that reflecting on what you value about yourself boosts serotonin, your brain's feel-good chemical. Or consider self-affirmation theory. Research shows that focusing on your strengths, even small ones, can rewire your brain to see yourself more positively over time. The mirror doesn't lie. It reflects what you choose to look for. So how do you start seeing your worth in that mirror? It's not about forcing a fake smile. It's about small, real shifts. Here are some tips to get you going. Catch the reflection. Next time you trash talk yourself, pause. Ask, would I say this to a friend? If not, don't say it to yourself. It's not woo-woo. It's rewiring. Studies show self-compassion cuts stress and builds resilience. List the evidence. Grab a pen and write 3 things you've done well, big or small. Helped a stranger, nailed a recipe, kept a plan alive. That's proof of your worth. Keep the list handy for when the mirror fogs up. Stand tall, this one's fun. Strike a power pose, shoulders back, hands on hips like a superhero. Research from Amy Cuddy's team shows it boosts confidence in minutes. Your body can trick your brain into seeing your value. Ask the right questions. Instead of what's wrong with me, try what's right with me. It flips the lens. Maybe it's your loyalty, your weird humor, your grit. Jot down 1 answer daily for a week. Watch the reflection shift. Borrow a mirror. Ask someone you trust what they see in you. Not to fish for compliments, but to borrow their clarity. Sometimes others spot our worth before we do. Let them hold the mirror for a sec. Here's the big reveal. Your worth isn't something you earn. It's something you already have. That mirror, it's not showing you a project to fix or a goal to chase. It's showing you a person who's enough, right now, flaws and all. The trick is learning to look at it straight on. So take a deep breath and step up to that mirror. See the cracks, sure, but see the light coming through them too. You're not perfect, and you don't need to be. You are you, and that's a reflection worth celebrating. Chapter 2. Breaking the Chains of Comparison. Let's be honest. Comparison is a sneaky little thief. 1 minute you're scrolling through your phone, minding your own business, and the next, you're convinced everyone else has their life figured out. Better job, shinier hair, cooler vacations. Suddenly, your perfectly fine day feels like it's not enough. Sound familiar? Yeah, me too. But here's the truth. Those chains of comparison, they're not locked. You've got the key to break free. This isn't about pretending you'll never compare yourself to others. Let's keep it real. We're human. It's about kicking that habit to the curb when it starts weighing you down. I've been tangled up in it myself, and science has some solid insights on why it happens and how to stop. Plus, I've got some practical moves to help you ditch the chains and step into your own spotlight. Ready to bust out? Let's go. Ever wonder why comparison feels like quicksand? It's not just you being dramatic. Your brain's in on it. Scientists call it social comparison theory, a concept cooked up by psychologist Leon Festinger back in the 50s. We're wired to measure ourselves against others. It's how we figure out where we stand. Back in the day, it helped us survive. Is my neighbor's spear sharper than mine? Better step up. But now, it's less about survival and more about self-sabotage. Here's the kicker. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows we're more likely to compare upward, looking at people we think are better than us, than downward. And thanks to social media, we've got a 24/7 buffet of highlight reels to stack ourselves against. A 2021 study linked excessive social comparison to higher rates of anxiety and lower self-esteem. No wonder it feels like chains. It's heavy stuff. Let me take you back to a low point of mine. I was 28, scrolling Instagram, when I saw a friend from college living her dream life. Fancy job, cute apartment, adorable dog. Meanwhile, I was eating cereal for dinner in a rented room, wondering why I hadn't made it yet. I spiraled hard, feeling like a failure. But then I caught myself mid-rant and thought, wait, am I really failing, or am I just not her? That was my wake-up call. I realized I'd been chaining myself to someone else's story instead of writing my own. It wasn't pretty, and it didn't flip overnight, but it started me on the path to breaking free. If I can do it, so can you. And trust me, it feels so much lighter on the other side. Let's get geeky for a minute. Your brain doesn't have to stay stuck in comparison mode. It's trainable. Studies on mindfulness, like those from the Journal of Cognitive Psychotherapy, show that focusing on the present cuts down on those "they're better than me" thoughts. Why? Because when you're grounded in your own moment, there's less room for someone else's script. Then there's the self-worth angle. Research from Dr. Nathaniel Branden, a big name in self-esteem studies, ties your sense of value to to how much you focus on your own journey, not others. When you stop measuring yourself against external yardsticks, your brain starts to see you as the benchmark. That's not just empowering, it's liberating. Ready to drop the comparison baggage? Here's some real, doable steps to get you started. No fluff, just stuff that works. Call it out. Next time you catch yourself comparing, name it. There I go again. Studies show labeling thoughts, like psychologists' cognitive diffusion trick, shrinks their power. It's like shining a flashlight on a shadow. It's not so scary up close. Curate your feed. Social media is a comparison minefield. Unfollow or mute accounts that make you feel small, not out of spite but self-care. A 2020 study found cutting exposure to curated perfection boosts mood fast. Fill your feed with realness instead. Own your wins. Write down 3 things you're proud # you've done lately, big or small. Cooked a killer meal, helped a friend, survived a tough day. That's your ammo against the not enough voice. Keep the list growing. Shift the lens. When you start comparing, ask, what's one thing I've got that they don't? Maybe it's your resilience, your humor, your weird dance moves. Flip the script. Make it about you, not them. Cheer them on. This one's sneaky. Instead of envying someone, root for them. Say, good for you, out loud or in your head. Research shows gratitude and goodwill short-circuit jealousy. It's like cutting the chains with kindness. Breaking the chains of comparison isn't about never looking sideways. It's about not letting it lock you down. You're not here to be a carbon copy of anyone else. Your life, your quirks, your messy, awesome journey. That's the gold. The minute you stop measuring yourself against someone else's ruler, you start seeing how much you've been carrying all along. So take a deep breath and step out of the shadow. Those chains, they're rusting away. You've got the strength to shake them off, and the story you're living is already epic. Chapter 3. The Art of Saying No. Boundaries as Self-Love. Let's talk about something we all suck at sometimes. Saying no. It's just 2 little letters, but they can feel like a mountain to climb. Ever found yourself nodding along to plans you dread, or taking on extra work you don't have time for, just because you didn't want to disappoint someone? Yep, been there. But here's the secret I've learned, and I'm betting you're ready to hear it too. Saying no isn't selfish. It's self-love, and it's an art worth mastering. This isn't about turning into a jerk who shuts everyone down. It's about building boundaries that protect your energy, your peace, and your worth. I've stumbled through this myself, and there's science to show why it's so hard and how it gets easier. Plus, I've got some practical tips to help you wield that no like a pro. Ready to set yourself free? Let's dive in. Saying no can feel like you're letting the world down. Why is that? Part of it's baked into us. Psychologists point to our social wiring. We're built to connect, to please, to belong. Saying no risks rocking the boat, and our brains don't love that. A 2017 study in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people overestimate how negatively others will react to a refusal. We imagine anger or rejection, when really, most folks just shrug and move on. Then there's the guilt factor. If you're a people pleaser, hi, me too, you might feel like no makes you the bad guy. But here's the twist. Always saying yes can chain you to resentment, burnout, and a life that doesn't feel like yours. I used to think boundaries were walls. Turns out they're more like garden fences, keeping the good stuff in and the weeds out. Let me get real with you. A few years back, I was the queen of yes. Yes to late night favors. Yes to plans I hated. Yes to everyone but myself. Then came the crash. I agreed to help a friend move on the same day I promised to finish a big project. I ended up exhausted, late on my work, and snapping at people I cared about. That night, I looked in the mirror and thought, enough. The next day, I said my first shaky no to a small request, a coworker asking me to cover a shift. I stammered, I over-explained, but I did it. And guess what? The world didn't end. That messy little no was my first brushstroke in the art of boundaries, and it felt like freedom. You've got your own breakthrough waiting. I promise it's worth it. Let's geek out for a sec. Setting boundaries isn't just a vibe, it's a health boost. Research from a Journal of Occupational Health Psychology shows that people with strong boundaries report lower stress and higher job satisfaction. Why? Because saying no protects your mental bandwidth. It's like decluttering your brain's to-do list. Then there's the self-esteem link. Studies, like those from Dr. Breen Brown's work on vulnerability, tie boundaries to self-worth. When you say no to what drains you, you're saying yes to yourself, and your brain registers that as a win. Over time, it rewires your sense of value. No isn't a rejection of others. It's an embrace of you. So how do you start painting with that no brush? It's not about being perfect. It's about practice. Here's some down-to-earth tips to get you going. Start small. Don't leap into rejecting your boss's big ask. Warm up with a low-stakes no, like skipping a casual invite. Thanks, but I'm out this time works wonders. Build your confidence from there. Ditch the guilt trip. You don't owe anyone a novel-length explanation. Keep it simple. I can't right now, but I appreciate it. Science says short, clear responses reduce anxiety for you and them. Buy time. If no feels too sudden, stall with, let me think about it and get back to you. It gives you space to decide without the pressure. Most people won't push. Frame it positively. Pair your no with a yes to yourself. I can't join you, but I'm looking forward to chilling tonight. It's not about shutting doors. It's about opening the right ones. Practice in the mirror. Literally. Say no out loud to your reflection a few times. It sounds silly, but psychologists say rehearsing builds muscle memory. Soon, it'll roll off your tongue. Here's the heart of it. Saying no isn't about pushing people away. It's about pulling yourself closer. It's self-love in action, a way to honor your time, your energy, your limits. The art of no doesn't make you less. It makes you more present, more you, more alive. So next time someone asks too much, take a breath and try it. Your no doesn't have to be loud or perfect, just yours. Those boundaries, they're not chains, they're wings, and you're ready to fly. Chapter 4. Celebrating the messy middle, embracing imperfection. Let's be real for a second. Life isn't a highlight reel. It's not a perfectly curated Instagram feed or a motivational poster with all the edges smoothed out. Life is messy, chaotic, and, dare I say it, beautifully imperfect. And yet, so many of us spend our days chasing this elusive idea of having it all together. Spoiler alert, nobody does. Not really. What if, instead of running from the mess, we leaned into it? What if the messy middle, those unglamorous, awkward, in-between moments, is where the good stuff actually happens? I'm not just throwing feel-good vibes at you here. There's science to back this up, and more importantly, there's a way to make it work for you. So grab a coffee, or tea, or whatever fuels your soul. And let's dive into why imperfection isn't just okay. It's essential. Plus, I'll share some practical tips to help you stop stressing and start celebrating the glorious mess that is you. Raise your hand if you've ever felt like you're supposed to have your life figured out by now. Mine's up too, don't worry. We live in a world obsessed with polished outcomes. Perfect bodies, perfect careers, perfect relationships. But here's the kicker. Perfection isn't even a real destination. It's a mirage that keeps moving farther away the closer you get. Psychologists have a term for this trap, perfectionism. And it's not the cute, oh, I just like things a certain way kind of quirk. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that perfectionism is linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout. Why? Because when you're chasing an impossible standard, you're setting yourself up to feel like a failure, no matter how much you achieve. It's like running a race with no finish line and wondering why you're exhausted. But here's the flip side. Embracing imperfection doesn't mean giving up. It's about redefining what winning looks like. Studies on resilience, like those from Dr. Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset, show that people who accept setbacks as part of the process are more likely to bounce back and keep growing. The messy middle isn't a detour, it's the main road. Let me get personal for a minute. A few years ago, I hit a wall. I was juggling a demanding job, trying to be a supportive friend, and pretending I had my act together, all while secretly feeling like I was dropping the ball on everything. One day, I spilled coffee all over my laptop mid-deadline, cried in my car, and thought, this is it. I'm a disaster. But looking back, that moment wasn't the end. It was a turning point. I started letting go of the idea that I had to be flawless to be worthy. And you know what? The world didn't collapse. In fact, things got better. That's the thing about the messy middle. It's where the real growth happens. It's where you figure out who you are when the filters are off. And I'm willing to bet you've got your own version of that story. Maybe it's the time you bombed a presentation, but learned how to laugh at yourself. Or the relationship that fell apart, but taught you what you really need. Those messy moments, they're gold. Let's nerd out for a sec. Did you know your brain is literally wired to thrive in imperfection? Neuroscientists have found that when we make mistakes, our brains light up with activity, especially in areas tied to learning and problem solving. A 2018 study published in Nature Communications showed that people who embrace trial and error, instead of obsessing over getting it right the first time, were better at adapting to new challenges. In other words, screwing up doesn't just build character, it builds smarter brains. Then there's the concept of post-traumatic growth, which psychologists like Richard Tedeschi have been studying for decades. It's the idea that after a struggle, those messy, hard moments, people often come out stronger, more creative, and more connected to what matters. The catch: you got to stop fighting the mess and start working with it. Okay, so imperfection is awesome in theory, but how do you actually live it? Here are some down-to-earth, try this today tips to help you embrace the chaos and come out shining. Name it to tame it. When you're feeling overwhelmed or like you're failing, pause and call it out. Say to yourself, this is my messy middle, and that's okay. Research shows that labeling emotions reduces their intensity. Psychologists call it affect labeling. It's like giving your brain permission to chill out. Ditch the highlight reel. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's polished front stage. Next time you're scrolling social media and feeling inadequate, remind yourself, this is curated, not real life. Better yet, take a break and do something gloriously imperfect, like dancing badly in your kitchen. Start small, mess up big. Pick one thing you've been avoiding because you're scared it won't be perfect, like writing that novel or trying a new hobby. Give yourself permission to suck at it. Seriously, the first draft of this chapter? Total garbage. But I kept going, and now you're reading it. Celebrate the oops. Next time you mess up, spill the coffee, miss a deadline, say something awkward, don't just shrug it off. Celebrate it. Tell a friend. Laugh about it. Write it down. Turn it into a badge of honor. Because every oops is proof you're living, not just existing. Find your messy tribe. Surround yourself with people who get it. Folks who aren't afraid to admit they're figuring it out too. Vulnerability is contagious, and studies show that strong social bonds boost happiness and resilience. Share your mess, and watch them share theirs. Here's the truth I want you to carry with you. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. The messy middle isn't something to survive. It's something to savor. It's where you're raw, real, and ridiculously human. It's where you trip over your own feet and still manage to dance. It's where you're not there yet, but you're on your way. And that's more than enough. So the next time life feels like a hot mess, don't hide from it. Celebrate it. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. And trust me, that's a story worth telling. Chapter 5. The Love Letter Project. Rewriting your story. What if I told you that the most powerful story in your life isn't the one you've been told, It's the one you tell yourself. We all carry narratives in our heads. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I'll never get it right. They're like old mixtapes stuck on repeat, scratched, and warped from overuse. But here's the thing. You're not stuck with them. You're the author of your story, and it's time to rewrite it with a little love. Welcome to the Love Letter Project. This isn't about cheesy romance novels or Hallmark cliches. It's about turning the pen on yourself and writing a new script, one that's kind, honest, and bold. I've seen this work wonders in my own life, and there's science to back it up too. So let's dig in, get real, and start crafting a story that lifts you up instead of holding you back. You ready? Think about the last time you screwed up. Maybe you forgot an important deadline or snapped at someone you care about. What did you tell yourself afterward? If you're anything like me, it was probably something harsh. I'm such an idiot. Or, why can't I ever get it together? These aren't just passing thoughts. They're bricks in the foundation of your personal narrative. Science backs this up. Psychologists like Dr. Dan McAdams, who studies narrative identity, say that the stories we tell ourselves shape how we see the world and how we act in it. If your inner script is full of self-criticism, you're more likely to shrink back, avoid risks, and feel stuck. A 2019 study in the Journal of Personality found that people with negative self-narratives reported lower life satisfaction and higher stress. Makes sense, right? When your story casts you as the villain or the perpetual screw-up, it's hard to feel like the hero. But here's the good news. Your brain is adaptable. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, means you can shift those old tapes. It's not instant, and it's not always easy, but it's possible. And that's where the Love Letter Project comes in. Let me share a slice of my own story. For years, I carried this narrative that I was too much, too loud, too emotional, too messy. It came from a cocktail of childhood feedback and adult insecurities, and it kept me small. I'd apologize for taking up space, dim my light to fit in. Then one day I got fed up. I sat down with a notebook and wrote myself a letter. It started messy. Dear me, you're a disaster. But by the end, it shifted. You're a wildfire, and that's your strength. It wasn't perfect. The first draft was awkward and sappy, and I cringed reading it back. But something clicked. I started seeing myself differently. Not as too much, but as just enough. That letter was the first step in rewriting my story. And it's a practice I still lean on when the old script creeps back. Your turn's coming up? Don't worry. I've got tips to make it less intimidating. Let's geek out for a minute. Writing can literally change your brain. Research on expressive writing, like the work of Dr. James Pennebaker, shows that putting your thoughts on paper reduces stress and boosts mental clarity. In one study, people who wrote about their deepest emotions for just 20 minutes a day over 4 days saw lower anxiety levels and even improved immune function. Why? Because writing helps you process, reframe, and take control. Then there's self-compassion, the secret sauce of this project. Dr. Kristen Neff's research shows that treating yourself with kindness, like you would a friend, rewires your self-talk. People who practice self-compassion are less depressed, more resilient, and better at handling life's curveballs. So when you write yourself a love letter, you're not just being nice. You're building a stronger, braver you. Ready to rewrite your story? You don't need a fancy journal or a perfect handwriting, just a willingness to get real. Here's how to kick off your love letter project. Set the scene. Find a quiet spot, grab a pen, or your phone if that's your vibe, and give yourself 10 minutes. No pressure to be profound. Just write like you're talking to a friend. Start with Dear, your name, and see where it goes. Dump the old script. Get the junk out first. Write down the negative stories you've been carrying. I'm a failure. I'm unlovable. Whatever it is. Don't judge it. Just let it spill. Then crumple it up or delete it and start fresh. This isn't about dwelling. It's about clearing space. Flip the narrative. Now write something kind. What's one thing you like about yourself? Maybe it's your laugh, your grit, or the way you make killer playlists. Start small if it feels weird. Dear me, you're pretty great at showing up, even when it's hard. Build from there. Get specific. Call out a moment you're proud of. Maybe it's the time you stood up for someone or kept going after a rejection. Write it like a love note. I see how you fought through that, and it's badass. Specifics make it stick. Read out loud. This part's optional but powerful. Hearing your own voice say kind things, it hits different. If it feels awkward, that's normal. Keep going. You're training your brain to believe the new story. The Love Letter Project isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a practice, a way to keep rewriting as you grow. Some days, your letter might be a pep talk. Others, it might be a gentle hug. That's the beauty of it. You get to decide who you are over and over again. So here's my challenge to you. Write your first letter today. It doesn't have to be perfect. Spoiler. It won't be. And that's the point. Just start. Because the moment you put pen to paper, you're not just rewriting your story, you're claiming it. And trust me, that's a love worth writing about. Conclusion. The love you deserve. You've looked into the mirror and rewritten the story of your worth. You've broken free from the chains of comparison, choosing your own lane over someone else's spotlight. And you've mastered the art of saying no, building boundaries that protect the most precious thing you'll ever own, yourself. This isn't the end of your self-love journey. It's the beginning of a life where you are your own greatest ally. Each step you've taken through these chapters has planted a seed, and now it's time to nurture it into something unshakable. Self-love isn't a destination you arrive at with a perfect bow. It's a daily choice, a quiet rebellion against a world that tells you to shrink. You're not just enough. You're extraordinary, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. So, take this energy, this spark, and carry it forward. The mirror, the chains, the nos, they're yours to wield. The question is, what will you do with them now? This is where you come in. Don't let this journey sit on the page or screen. Put into action. Start today. Pick one tool from this AUDIOBOK. The mirror affirmation, the comparison detox, or a bold no, and try it. Then, share your story with us. Drop a comment below. What did you say no to? How did it feel to see yourself differently? Your voice could inspire someone else to take their first step. And if this sparks something in you, hit that subscribe button and give this a like. Why? Because every week, we're diving deeper into living boldly, loving fiercely, and owning our worth together. You won't want to miss what's next. So, tell me, what's the one thing you're ready to love about yourself today? Let's keep this conversation alive. Your breakthrough might just be the start of someone else's.